NHS and tracking with the Lovelock family of Sunninghill. What follows is a very rough cut photo trail of over several days, but I'll start with a standard introduction. So we're coming up to where we live at 22 Armitage Court, at so-called Robin's Corner, with warning signs about cats, where GPS was tested in the late 1980s. Yes, a bit of lovely garden sculpture that June gave Robin for his birthday present. That was last year. Yeah, coming down the front drive. We've just got back, June, from shopping. That'll be at the end of the photo trail. And yeah, cat fort. Oh, that tells us that the cat is in there. That is Toady, if you can see him. Is dark, so you can hardly see him at all. So that light is very useful. And of course they're armed mice. And there's another fort there for Bentley, the guard cat opposite. Now, a lot of people would have seen that. There's other videos starring those guys. And we come down the... Oh, I better mention it. I'll probably wrap this up with a video clip, and it's about the subject of driving. Yes, that's the website. It was a business 20 years ago. That's one of the cars. That's the car June uses. And I'm not allowed to drive because of a mistake by the DVLA. But that will be at the back end. This subject, this video, is much more important, which is basically things like the use of low-cost trackers. And I'm not in the business of selling anything, it's just to let people know that they're on the market and people can get them where they're cheapest. And of course robot boats, where tracking is also important, but the type of tracker used in that, like that, is very, very expensive. And so that's a little project. When there's the time, and there rarely is, then we make a bit of progress on that. That's the robot boat, Snoopy's robot boat. And now the very important thing about health and safety. NES not only not only cameras everywhere, but the very important mention of water squirters. You have to read the small print. There, I've done the health and safety checks. Now into the house. And yes, we've got Michelle's cat. Michelle is in hospital at the moment, and that is part of the story. Into the lounge, but we'll wrap up near there. June is not long back from shopping and giving me a lift back from my walk around Ascot. That's tennis, of course, on the television. And June's put the stuff away, and June has trackers in her bag as well. Been using them for years. Pensioner trackers are typical, but they're put on cats as well. And don't forget, I'm not in the business of selling this stuff. Now, what happened this morning, and of course it settled down, the tracker I'm wearing shows the position there, and the new facility that was put in, which is shown on the back end of the photographs, is a trail of lines behind it. And let me go to something else so that you'll see what's possible but not public at the moment. The important thing about this tracker that I've been wearing for the last week or two is that anybody can see where it is off the contact page of the website gpss.co.uk. And what I'll do now is try and switch to something else. This shows my walk today and where I spent time stopping. Part of the journey was June giving me a lift there, and then I walked around there, and then she gave me a lift back. And this is what one needs a password to log into. So that's normally for telecare systems with things like that. There's only a handful of people that can get that information. But what I've managed to do is get it so that anybody can see it, if that's a practical way of doing things. For some tracking it is, and what we've now got is a trace behind it. But this shows the whole trace. It also shows at 9 o'clock I was stopped, and then whatever that is, 9:45 stopped there, and then there, and those are probably places that I stopped here. So let me, sorry about all this talking, let me just show something else. So these are the places I stopped in Ascot. June dropped me off at the car park here, and then I went into there, spoke to a guy. This is in the photo trail, and then along in here, and various places I stopped that will be in the photo trail. And so anybody watching live would have at least seen, he was there and he's gone there. He's now gone there. That is, if it's useful, that can be public. So let's see what else we can show. Yes, that's where my walk-in ended from Ascot, and June picked me up and brought me back. So that's enough of me talking, which I'm sure everybody will get bored with. And so now into that long unedited photo trail, simply the pictures off the camera, the little pocket camera that's been used for this, in the order that they were taken over the last few days, and that includes lots of things. Right, rather than talk about it, anybody's interested can ask. So it's a photo trail. This unscripted and unrehearsed photo trail starts with a few pictures to give a flavour of content, and yes, it included the trip up to collect Michelle, me getting measured up for a wedding suit, our cats, I going to an old workmate's funeral, which was absolutely lovely in terms of what I found out about Vic. And of course, a lot of the important stuff to us was our daughter Michelle. And so visiting her in hospital, there aren't many pictures from that, of course. And our cat Toadie helping me as usual. My visit to post important letters to the DVLA. Visit to Sandhurst, saw my cousin, and of course the get together for the tennis club, and then a visit to see Michelle. And there's the tracker results. The sound will probably be completely out of sync. And this was today's trip. Well, I spoke to some important people and visited some places. A lot of them did relate to healthcare. And there's the cat of Michelle's, Lady. Now it looks like we're now into the main photo trail. The earlier was a flavour. That's the garden open for the National Garden Scheme charity, which we're great fans of. And I believe that one was at Sandhurst. So those are pictures from the garden. And at some point, yes, history to that place. At some point there will be the tracker maps, which anybody could see where we were going. And there's several trackers that are public, as opposed to having to log in. My personal tracker, and there's the track from that and where I stopped at different places. And yes, that's quite relevant for charity related things, which is helping old people get on the net, as long as it's not too expensive. And then one of the trackers is of course the Spot Satcoms tracker, and that anybody could have seen their progress up to collect Michelle. In fact, I say our, that was Saskia and June driving, so I was able to see exactly what happened, including them going across town in the middle of the night to the hospital and back from Michelle's home. So more information on that, and that was quite important to see how things were going. So again, a case where tracking is being used in the context of health, but of course it's also social things, like being measured up for a suit. And yes, Snoopy's robot boat, and Bentley, the cat from opposite, the senior guard cat, and that trip is up to Coventry. And that, yeah, there's me being measured up for a wedding suit with family. Black Tie was the place in Crowthorne. Lovely lunch afterwards, and Gary's doing the driving there, I see, and the tracker says where I was going. Closed circuit TV shows us arriving, and the cat, the Pody on the left and Bentley on the right. Bentley is from opposite, but he spends a lot of time getting free food over here. And what's happening there? Ah yes, yeah, this, because Michelle was with us until she was admitted into Frimley Park Hospital. There's me in my funeral suit for the lovely Thanksgiving service for Vic Piercy over at Claygate. Vic and I worked at the same company, and the details of this are in fact on the E7's page, linked off of that page. So that's the tracker, so that anybody interested could see where we were. And the tracker that was used was the Satcoms tracker, which is very expensive, used for Snoopy's robot boats, but of course it works, and it works in the middle of the Atlantic. So that's on-air trip to Claygate, getting close to it now. There's the church where the service was held. There was a lovely big hall at the side which we didn't know, and lovely photographs on display. Most of these are family photographs of Vic, and the stuff that is now public is the script from his son, who read a lovely eulogy. But there was another eulogy, or part of the eulogy was more the family stuff rather than the military stuff, and that was from his daughter Paula. But those are some of the photos I shot on my camera, and there's Vic with late wife Meg. There's one of the events, and lovely family pictures taken a few years ago. Quite an amazing guy, and I didn't realise until I heard the eulogy and obviously read the script, which is public on the USAM's page, what an amazing guy he was, joining the RAF before the war, World War II that is, and all the places he went, and of course went back to those places for pleasure afterwards. So that's us leaving, I should think, leaving the church. As I say, the synchronism may not be right with this sound commentary. Yes, brought away, lovely handout, and back, and there's Toadie on guard duty, guarding the house. The spot tracker that was used, and anybody could see where the spot tracker is, and at the moment it tends to be put in June's car, just sits on the sill. And the other tracker is of course my pendant tracker, typically used by pensioners, and what you're seeing on most of those are the detailed track. This is today's walk, I think. Oh, I'm losing track now. Literally. So walking around the village. Right. Back home. Michelle in hospital. Lovely people there, really interesting people. I haven't got any photographs, of course, but amazing coincidences. And that shows, yeah, that shows what was on the track when we got back. We could see exactly where I was. And there's Toadie helping me with my notes in the diary. And that's probably a letter that was sent out by a registered post. Yes, and that was posting the letters by registered post on the Friday at Sunning Hill Post Office, and on the Monday I received the information that those letters had been signed for. And then later in that day I was able to watch the tug of war, which brought back memories from the 50s with my father, and there's my cousin Larry Sharp, and that Sandhurst team apparently has done very well in recent years. Lots of connections there that are public on the family page of gpss.co.uk. And of course the main reason we went over there was the social event for the Sandhurst cricket team. And again, anybody looking on the tracker would see, yes, there's me actually checking over there. There's the team, or the guys that we got together with. Photographs being taken. Yeah, a lovely event that was. Weather was good. And then while I was there, I had a walk over to the Sandhurst Cricket Club, and yeah, spoke to somebody, and we then got home, and yes, the snoop was able to look at where I went, and that included Robin playing on the tennis court, which he hadn't done for many, many years, even though back in the 70s it was several times a week. Right, there's a trick there. Ah yes, we were under instructions from Michelle, now in Frimley Park Hospital, to take in the unicorn, and Robin had to carry it in because June was too embarrassed. So we came back. Yes, Toadie was in his fort, and Robin got the tracker and able to see where they went. At the moment you have to log in to do that, but what's happened in the last day is there is a trail behind of several points, and it's public. Anybody can go to the contact page, click on that little picture of the tracker and see where Robin is at the time, or where the tracker is, and of course Robin normally wears it, and the last few points. And that's something new as of today when this video is being recorded. Oh, that's the receipts for delivery in the morning of the letters to the TVLA, and Robin's walk to test the tracker, but also use it as an opportunity to visit some places and people, and of course it's the people that is important. And some of those pictures have got clues on things that are happening. Robin was thinking of as an alternative of what he wears for the wedding. And of course some of the places have changed what they're used for. The good thing is that there's still a care home at Larton House, and I'm on the phone to June to arrange that she'll pick me up on her way back from shopping. And so looks as though I'm meeting up with Bruce and friends, who appears in an earlier video where we're on duty on there. And then there's some more pictures after we get back with the shopping, and of course I had picked up some flags from Ascot Hardware, looking at what's on the tracker, and yes, it did show, and it shows it's just the last few points that anybody can see if they leave it on the page or the map. There's Lady, Michelle's pussycat, prowling around. I've tagged a few more pictures on the end which are a bit more recent than the photo trail, but they all come up to today. So it was basically including pictures of Lady and us planning to go in and pick up Michelle if she's available. Last we heard was that she was moved into the discharge lounge, but that's as much as we know. Okay. I warned you it was a long unedited photo trail. Yeah, glance at the pond, loads of work needs doing here, even more work in the garden and house clearing junk up. So I'm going to now end on a standard clip used at the end of videos for the last few weeks, which relates to the DVLA, the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority, and my still not being able to help people by driving. That of course includes helping myself and my family. Hello, I'm Robin Lovelock in Sunning Hill, and yes, this is Robin's Corner, where we tested GPS from the late 1980s onward, and that's the bit of garden sculpture that June gave me for my birthday present. And June and Samantha are just off to tennis at the Royal Ascot Tennis Club, and it looks like they're going to use June's car. There we go. Give them a good thrashing, June. There we go, that's the reg. KISS GPS. gpss.co.uk. Yes, promoting the website, which was a business many decades ago. So they're off to tennis, and since it's in shot, that's where a cat often hangs out, along with armed mice, a little light so we can see. And I'm going to open the garage door. Have a good game. Oh yes, that's our guard cat, Toadie. Hello, Toadie. That's my car, and I'm not being able to allowed to drive it again due to the DVLA, the Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency, for those of you outside the UK. And I just point this out, C4GPS, and the website gpss.co.uk. And these days, rather than business, it's all about charity. And believe it or not, the few words I say are a lot to do with hopefully helping people within the DVLA as well as outside. So yes, this is Snoopy's robot boat, and these things link together. Tried the Atlantic, lots of exposure on that, and I'm going to run straight into a recent clip where I speak in detail. The key thing is the DVLA, Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency, collect a lot of money for the UK government, and of course they use a lot of money for what they have to do, which is issue driving licences and also for licensing of cars and vehicles. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday. That'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me whittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up clearly, be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha. The microwave was invented by James Lovelock, if you didn't know. And here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.